You've told yourself never again, yet here you are, caught in the same tug of war inside your mind. Why is it so hard to break free from this cycle? They say freedom is the ability to walk away. What if every time you try to move forward, something pulls you back into the same cycle, the same habit that you swore you'd quit? You tell yourself, this is the last time. You delete the apps, clear the history, promise yourself that you're done. And yet, days later, you're back at square one, drowning in the same regret. Here's the real secret. It's not because you're weak or lack willpower. It's because pornography has literally rewired your brain to crave it. Think about it like this. Our brains are designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And porn? It's like a pleasure superstimulus, blasting your brain with dopamine, the chemical messenger of reward. Every time you indulge, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree, reinforcing the idea that this is a great thing to do again and again. Let's take a step back for a moment. Remember when you were a kid and simple things made you happy? Riding your bike, playing with friends, watching a good movie? Those felt rewarding. Now, after months or years of internet porn, those same activities might barely move the needle. Why? Because porn has hijacked your brain's reward system. Neuroscientists actually see this on brain scans. Heavy porn use can make the reward centers less responsive to everyday joys. In some studies, people addicted to porn even showed a kind of numbing or shrinking in parts of the brain that deal with motivation and decision-making, including the part that helps you control your impulses. In other words, the more you fed your brain this extreme stimulation, the more you trained it to only get excited for porn and tune out other sources of happiness. But here's where it gets interesting. Just as the brain can rewire itself to crave porn, it can rewire itself again to enjoy real life. This phenomenon is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt. It means you are not doomed by the habits you've built. You can literally rebuild your brain's reward circuits. Breaking free from porn is not about fighting an unwinnable battle against yourself. It's about retraining your mind and giving it the chance to heal. Now, breaking free won't be instant or easy. Let's be honest about that. When you first try to quit, you might feel like you lost your crutch. The world might seem grayer, boring, even frustrating. You might feel restless, irritable, or down. This is normal. In fact, it's so common that there's a term for it, anhedonia, which means the inability to feel pleasure from things that used to make you happy. After flooding your brain with artificial highs, it takes time for your dopamine levels to balance out. Think of it like this. If you've been living under loudspeakers blasting music, that's porn, when you turn them off, silence can feel uncomfortable. Your brain has to adjust to the quiet and relearn how to enjoy the subtle sounds of life again. So, how do you actually break free and rewire your brain? It starts with a crucial mindset shift. You have to believe that change is possible and deeply commit to it. Not because someone else wants you to, not out of mere guilt or shame, but because you understand what's at stake for your life, your happiness, and your future. Make a clear decision. I am done with porn. I'm taking my life back. That might sound simplistic, but truly deciding is a powerful first step. It draws a line in the sand. Here's the real secret. Quitting porn isn't just about resisting something bad. It's about embracing something better. You're not just fighting a habit, you're rebuilding you. Think about it like this. If you simply try to empty your mind of the urge, it leaves a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. If you remove the high of porn, you must fill that space with other fulfilling things, or your brain will go looking for dopamine somewhere else and likely drag you back to the old habit. So, we replace the artificial rewards with real ones. What does that look like in practice? Let's paint the picture. Instead of spending an evening glued to a screen, you take a walk outside or hit the gym. You feel your heart pumping, fresh air in your lungs, maybe the burn in your muscles. That's a real healthy dopamine boost, plus a sense of accomplishment. Or you pick up that guitar gathering dust in the corner or start writing, coding, creating music, working on a project you're passionate about. You get into a flow state, losing track of time because you're so engaged. That focus and creativity releases dopamine too, but in a balanced way that makes you feel alive, not drained. Maybe you call up a friend or go socialize, have a deep, laughing conversation, or a real flirtatious chat with someone you're interested in. Human connection floods you with oxytocin and, yes, more dopamine, the kind that leaves you feeling warm and satisfied. Even something as simple as reading a captivating book or meditating quietly can start to bring your baseline back to normal. The point is, you're teaching your brain that real life is rewarding again. Little by little, you rediscover excitement in the world beyond the screen. Now, none of this means the journey is smooth. You will face urges, those sudden waves of desire that hit seemingly out of nowhere. Maybe it's late at night and you feel lonely, or you get stressed or bored, and your brain goes, "Hey, you know what would feel good right now?" These moments are the crossroads of your recovery. But here's where your brain's rewiring truly happens. Every time you face an urge and don't give in, you're strengthening new neural pathways, like forging a new trail in the brain's forest. It's just like a muscle that gets stronger with each rep at the gym. The first few reps are shaky, hard, but over time, it gets easier. So how do you deal with an urge in the moment? Try this. Pause. Take a deep breath when you feel that itch to reach for your phone or computer. Instead of immediately wrestling with the thought or trying to suppress it, which can sometimes make it stronger, just acknowledge it. Okay, I really want to watch porn right now. Don't panic. Don't judge yourself. Observe what the feeling is like. Is your heart speeding up? Do you feel it as tension in your chest or a buzz in your head? Maybe you realize you're not even horny. You're just anxious or looking for an escape from some other feeling. By observing, you create a slight distance between you and the urge. Now, redirect that energy. Channel it into something else for just 10 or 15 minutes. Get up and do 20 push-ups or jumping jacks, or step outside and get some fresh air, or turn on some music and dance, or take a cold shower if you must. Anything that gives your brain a jolt of natural stimulation. Often, if you can ride out that initial wave for a few minutes, it will subside. Urges are like waves in the ocean. They rise, they peak, they crash, they dissolve. If you surf that wave instead of wiping out, you come out stronger. Let's take a step back and see what's happening here. By consistently choosing a different response when the craving hits, you're doing something extraordinary. You're rewiring the circuit. The old pathway in your brain says, trigger leads to porn, leads to dopamine hit, repeat. The new pathway you're carving says, trigger leads to a walk outside, or a phone call to a friend, or some push-ups. And that leads to a different kind of satisfaction. The more you travel down this new path, the easier it becomes to take it the next time. Meanwhile, that old porn pathway, the less you use it, the more it weakens. It's like a trail in the woods that grows over when people stop walking on it. Over time, it becomes faint, then it disappears under new growth. That's your brain on neuroplasticity. It's letting the unused connections fade and strengthening the ones you use. Now, I'd be lying if I said you'll never stumble. The truth is, most people trying to quit porn have the occasional slip-up or relapse. It's important not to let a relapse turn into a tailspin of shame and self-hate. If you give in one night, it doesn't erase all your progress. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy and you have one junk food meal, you don't say, I'm doomed, and then eat junk food for every meal after. You get back on track with the next meal. It's the same here. Forgive yourself, but also learn from it. What was the trigger? Was it stress from work? Feeling lonely? Did you let yourself get too bored or let your guard down? Use that insight to fortify your strategy moving forward. Maybe next time, you'll see that trigger coming and take action before the urge becomes overpowering. Also, consider this. Don't do it alone if you don't have to. Breaking a compulsion in secrecy can make it harder. Shame thrives in darkness, and shame can drive you right back to porn for comfort, a vicious cycle. Instead, find someone you trust that you can talk to about this. It could be a close friend, a family member, a therapist, or even an online community of people on the same journey. When you bring your struggle into the light, it loses some of its grip on you. An accountability partner or support group can encourage you, share what's worked for them, and remind you that you're not alone in this fight. Just be cautious. Ultimately, you have to firmly want this for yourself. No one else can rewire your brain for you. They can guide you and hold you accountable. But the drive to change must come from you. And while you're enlisting support, look at your environment too. If you're trying to recover while spending all day alone in the same room where you used to watch porn, you're basically a rat in a cage with a tempting lever. Eventually, you might press it. Check this out. In a famous experiment, rats isolated in a barren cage with access to drug-laced water kept taking it until they died. But rats in a stimulating rat park with other rats and toys hardly touched the drug water. Humans aren't so different. When your life is empty or you're isolated, porn becomes a much stronger pull. But if you create your own human rat park, filling your days with meaningful activities, social connection, exercise, and goals, the allure of porn loses much of its power. In short, it's a lot easier to break free when your life is rich and engaging. A life filled with purpose and connection is one of the best antidotes to addiction. Let's talk about something you might not expect: gratitude and perspective. It sounds strange, but as you break free from porn, take a moment to appreciate what this struggle is teaching you. It's showing you how your brain works, how habits are formed and broken. It's teaching you resilience, patience, and self-control, skills that will serve you in every area of life. Every time you say no to a destructive urge and yes to something better, you're not just quitting porn, you're becoming a stronger, wiser person. This process is forging character. It's the same kind of grit that helps people overcome any addiction or achieve any difficult goal. It's the muscle of self-mastery. And through this journey, you're getting ripped, mentally and emotionally. But what about the timeline? How long until it gets easier, until your brain feels reset? This isn't a switch you flip overnight, but it does get better and fairly quickly in the grand scheme of things. Many people report that the first 1 to 2 weeks are the rockiest. You might experience mood swings, irritability, maybe difficulty concentrating. Around the third or fourth week, there's often a noticeable shift. The fog starts to lift a bit. You may wake up with more energy, find more interest in going out or working on your goals. By about 60 to 90 days, roughly 2 to 3 months of being porn-free, many say they feel reborn. Colors are brighter, jokes are funnier, music sounds better, real human touch and intimacy feels incredible again. It's like your brain comes back online, fully. This is often referred to as a reboot. Of course, everyone's timeline is a little different. It depends how deep you were in and how actively you're rewiring with positive habits. Some might take longer to feel 100%, and that's okay. The key is, as long as you're moving in the right direction, you will see improvements, and they compound over time. Let's not forget why you're doing this. You're not quitting porn just to check a box or to be able to say, I have a streak of X days. The true goal is to reclaim your ability to enjoy life authentically, to wake up feeling motivated and alive without needing a crutch, to feel attraction to real people again, maybe to restore a healthy love life that porn was interfering with, to free up all that time and mental energy for things that truly matter to you, your hobbies, your career, your relationships, your health. Think about the confidence you'll regain when you know you are in control of your mind and not the other way around. Picture meeting someone you're really into and being fully present with them, not haunted by explicit images in your head, not worrying about whether you'll measure up to some fantasy. Imagine looking in the mirror and respecting the person you see because you know how far you've come. Every day you go without porn, every urge you conquer is an investment in that future self. And trust me, that future self, he's stronger, happier, and more at peace. I've heard so many stories of people who thought they'd never break free, and months later, they're stunned at how much their life has changed. One guy said after quitting for 90 days, it was like a veil lifted from his mind. He started enjoying little things again, like the taste of his morning coffee or a walk in the park, in a way he hadn't in years. Another talked about how his anxiety plummeted and his confidence skyrocketed. He started dating again and found real connection. These are real, tangible changes. That could be you. Now, a big piece of advice. Keep track of your journey in a journal or a notebook, not to obsessively count days, but to note the changes in you. Write about the tough days. What did you feel? How did you get through it? Write about the victories. That day you were super stressed and still said no to the urge, or the morning you woke up clear-headed and proud. Write about improvements. Hey, I noticed I laughed genuinely today. Or, I felt confident looking someone in the eye. Or, I had a dream and in it I was actually with a real person instead of watching something. These notes will be pure gold. On a rough day, you can read back and see how far you've come or notice patterns of what triggers you. It's like mapping out your brain's healing. Plus, journaling itself is a great calm activity that can give you insight and relieve stress. I want you to also be prepared for your mind to play tricks on you during recovery. There will be times your brain says, "This is pointless. You're always going to be addicted. Just give in." It might also say, "You've been good for a month. You deserve a little peek. Just one time." These are lies, clever lies. Your addicted brain is like a trickster trying to get its next fix. Don't fall for it. Remind yourself why you started this. Reread your journal or a book or forum on porn recovery, or talk to that friend who supports you. Do whatever it takes to keep your convictions strong. Remember, those negative voices are part of the old wiring, echoes of the dependency that used to control you. Each time you refuse to listen, their volume dial turns down a little more. Let's bring back that earlier image of a dark room and a computer screen. But this time, picture yourself a few weeks or months from now. It's late at night. Maybe you still feel a tinge of an urge. After all, we're human. But instead of automatically reaching for the old escape, you recognize it and decide, no, I don't do that anymore. I don't need that. Maybe you do a quick breathing exercise, or you turn off the computer and go to bed knowing tomorrow you'll wake up clear-headed. You feel a sense of calm control that you never used to have. That right there is freedom. The chains might have been invisible, but you've been carrying them for a long time. Now they're dropping off, one by one. Every day you choose to stay in control. Breaking free from porn is about freedom over restriction. Some people think it's all about depriving yourself. It's not. It's about freeing yourself from a dependency that was depriving you of real joy and real satisfaction. You're trading a false pleasure that kept you trapped for authentic happiness that keeps you growing. So ask yourself, what do you really want your life to look like? Do you want to be controlled by a screen, giving away your time, your energy, your sexual vitality to pixels? Or do you want to be out there living, building a body you're proud of, creating things, loving others deeply, and walking in this world with a sense of confidence and purpose? That choice is in your hands, and every small action you take rewires your brain towards one or the other. The power to change is already inside you. Your brain is ready to heal the moment you give it the chance. Yes, it will take effort. Yes, it will sometimes be uncomfortable, but gradually it becomes not a struggle, but a source of pride. You'll start to see porn for what it is, a cheap trick that was stealing your life, and you'll see yourself for who you are becoming without it. A person who faces challenges head-on, who chooses reality over fantasy, growth over stagnation, freedom over compulsion. This journey of breaking free and rewiring your brain is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It's not just about quitting porn. It's about regaining your freedom, your focus, and your self-respect. Every moment of clarity, every genuine smile, every successful resistance to old temptations is a brick in the foundation of a new life you're building. And that life, your life, is worth the effort. So take a deep breath. You've got this. The road ahead might seem long, but you're already on it, right here, right now, by listening and understanding. Now it's time to take action, one day at a time, one urge at a time. And someday in the near future, you'll look back and realize that the urge that once controlled you has lost its power, and that you, in fact, are the one in control. That realization, that freedom, is priceless. Remember, you are not your addiction. You are the person training your brain step by step to be free. And with each step forward, you are reclaiming the life that you deserve. Now, go write the next chapter of your story, one where you hold the pen, not your addiction. The journey starts now.